Let's talk some NCAA hoops with Kevin Burke, our buddy from HoopDoctors.com, who I'm hoping didn't have Louisville to the Final Four. Hey, bud.
You know what? The funny thing is I did, actually. They were...
No!
I swear, I kid you not. I had them come out of that region. I wasn't believing in Kansas at all. And no, I kid you not, I had them come out of that region. And so I've effectively thrown my bracket away about 2 hours ago. So
I was getting ready to say.
I'm just watching for the fun of it now, yeah.
Did you take that? Okay, well, you know what? I'll just line the litter box with this, baby. It's over.
Yeah.
Oh, brother.
We almost had a couple of upsets already. So, I mean, that time of year, Kentucky almost went down. I mean, they barely got by Princeton. I mean, ugly across the board, but that's what this time of year is all about, man.
And especially now, because let's face it, Kevin, I know everybody say, hey, Ohio State, they blew away the Big Ten. Hey, Ohio State, they won 75-1. Hey, Ohio State's got a low post presence. They shoot the three. They're this, they're that. These guys are going to be pros, blah, blah. No offense to Ohio State. Yes, they're arguably the best team in the tournament with Kansas. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I don't think we look at Ohio State and go, wow, that reminds me of the great NCAA teams of all time.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I don't look at any team this year and say that. I mean, we've had how many different number one seeds have we had, or how many different number ones have we had this year? Probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 maybe. I think it's wide open this year. Like I said when we spoke, I think it was yesterday. I'm not sure what's more wide open, the college tournament or the NBA playoffs when that does tip off. So yeah, I mean, I don't think either team is going to go down as a great team in college lore. I do think Ohio State, which is why I had them winning it all. I do think they're the best in this weak field. It is definitely a weak field. I mean, they're decent down low with Sullinger. You got Diebler shooting a three. Lighty can flash. So, they can handle the ball on the perimeter. They defend the ball well. They defend the perimeter well, too, which is key in this tournament. I do think they're pretty solid. The only 2 losses, the only 2 blemishes on the record are, in conference on the road. So, I mean, you take that into consideration. They're definitely going to be a tough draw. Kansas, no slouch. For whatever reason, when Kansas lost, if you remember, Kansas was the number 1 overall team heading into the tournament last year. They lost to Northern Iowa in the second round. I mean, I mean, seriously. So that's, I guess, which makes absolutely no sense. But I guess kind of I remember that in the back of my head, which is why I went with another team in that region, which actually makes no sense. But they returned a lot of players, so it makes no sense, really. But, I mean, the tournament, when you fill out these brackets, that's the whole thing. You kind of go with what doesn't make sense. So. But,
well, Kevin, I'll tell you how I picked my Final Four. I picked it by states I've been fired in. That's how I picked my Final Four. So
nice. Good thing. I guess Idaho is not in the tournament this year, right?
Yeah, not yet. That'll be next year's Final Four. That'll be my next year's Final Four. We're talking to Kevin Burke from HoopDoctors.com, talking about the NCAA tournament, Sports 630 KIDO, KIDM.com, Terry Ford Show. Here's my thing and why I took Ohio State over Kansas is I think that the Ohio State backcourt is more consistent than the Kansas backcourt. And you know as good as I do, Kev, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done in college basketball, because if you're a big and you're worth a snot, you're going to be in college 1 or 2 years tops and you're in the NBA. So college hoops has become a perimeter-oriented game, and I just think on the perimeter, Ohio State is more solid, more consistent than Kansas. I mean, you got Thomas, the point guard, one day looks good, one day looks bad. Selby, one day good, one day bad. And then Kansas has those, the two white guards look exactly alike. Some days they hit threes, some days they don't. I just think Ohio State is more consistent on the perimeter than Kansas, and that's why I took Ohio State.
And I agree. And Ohio State's more experienced, too. Kansas is very young on the perimeter. Selby, a freshman, he's very unproven, number 1 prospect coming out of college. They're very young and inexperienced on the perimeter. Ohio State, Lighty's been around the block. Diebler, he's a senior. These guys have been around the block. They've been there before. And they're very balanced, down low and on the perimeter as well. Kansas, just for my liking, they're just especially on the perimeter, they're very young. I know they got the Morris twins who bang down low. It's funny, one is like a lot better than the other, which is, go figure they're identical twins, but I'm not sure. He must have got the better, I don't know what, but so, I mean, they're just inexperienced. Duke, I mean, I did pick Ohio State to beat Duke in the Final Four. Now that Kyrie Irving is coming back, that kind of throws a monkey wrench to this whole thing. Personally, I wouldn't bring him back if I'm Coach K. I mean, he knows This guy's been coaching, I'd aspire to, know as much as Coach K's ever forgotten in basketball. So far be it for me to question his move, but I'm always against bringing a young guy back from injury too soon. He was supposed to be out the entire year. Now, all of a sudden, yesterday, boom, Kyrie Irving is coming back. It's like, whoa, where'd this come from? I mean, you never can tell when you rush a guy. I mean, look at Brandon Roy. I mean, now Kyrie's injury is not nearly as severe as a Brandon Roy, but they rushed him back, and he's like, it's looking like he's never going to be the Brandon Roy of old. Not saying that's going to be the case with Kyrie Irving, but you never know. And I think they're gonna go deep even without him. Nolan Smith was ACC Player of the Year. I mean, he had a career year. I don't necessarily think you need him, if that actually makes any sense, based on how well the team has played and how well the team has gelled. But I'm always leery about bringing a young guy back from injury. But if all works well, I think, you put them into the mix, that kind of, can they get by Ohio State in the Final Four? I think their chances are elevated extremely when they have if Kyrie is healthy and can do what he did early on in the season.
Yeah, see, and you hit the nail on the head because, I mean, Doug Gottlieb has been doing backflips at the worldwide leader. Kyrie Irving's back. Kyrie Irving's back. Woo, woo, woo. I look at it this way. First of all, the cat hasn't played, a real game in 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
B, last time I checked, your toe's kind of important.
Seriously.
C, this team, I mean, they looked like they were going to roll through everyone with Kyrie Irving and Nolan Smith and with Singler and those cats and with Curry coming off the bench, who wasn't getting a whole lot of minutes.
Yeah.
But here's my thing. Now you've got your swerve on with Nolan Smith and Singler and Curry and your team has been playing 3 months without this guy. Now you bring Kyrie Irving back. A, I don't think he's going to be much of a factor early in the first few games, which Duke won't need him anyway. But B, what if this does the opposite everybody thinks it's going to do? What if this kind of all of a sudden, now you're screwing up the rotation you've had for 3 months. Now Singler's going to go play the 4. Irving's going to be in the game. Is he playing the point? Is he playing off the ball now? What are you doing? Everybody automatically thinks that this is going to be great. And it might be great for Duke, but it might also not be great for Duke.
Right. One thing you're sacrificing aside from, potential further injury with this kid is, where do you play him? And is it going to disrupt the chemistry? I think it will, because where do you play him? I mean, Nolan Smith is playing out of his mind. I think the starting five it rivals any other starting five in the country. I mean, some guys are maybe more athletic, a little just better, just more athletic than Duke is, perhaps. Kyrie is definitely a great athlete. But, I definitely hear your point. I saw, folks doing backflips today as well. I think the biggest thing you're going to risk is, of course, injury. So maybe he'll play, 20, 30 minutes, this opening round. The toe reacts. But, I don't think you need – I don't think you need to do – I mean, I don't know. He's not going to leave. I don't think he shouldn't leave anyway. I mean, he's played a handful of games, although he's projected to go pretty high in the NBA draft already without even having played. But I wouldn't do it. I would just kind of shelve him and just kind of, ride it out with the team I had if I was Coach K.
Yeah, you see, and we're talking Kevin Burke, HoopDoctors.com and Sports 630 KIDO, KIDO.com, Terry Fortune. Yes, that's the thing about Kyrie Irving. Now, look, I don't begrudge some cat if he's going to be a top 5 pick and going to make boatloads of dough. And he's going to go. I can't sit here and go, no, you're stupid. What's wrong with you, son? Stay, get better, play another year, get the rust off. Hey, the college experience is awesome. Hey, there are hot co-eds on campus. I can't do that. I can't begrudge a kid if he's going to go, if he's going to be a lottery pick. But if he's smart, then you stay another year, you play a full season, like you said, get the reps in, make sure your foot's totally back to what it should be, show everybody who might have doubts about you that you're all right, and then you're going to be a lottery pick the next year in the NBA draft. So I'm with you. If I'm Kyrie Irving, I stay, but if he's going to go in the top 5, which also shows you how bad this draft is, Kevin Burke, when a guy that's played, a handful of games is going to be a top 5 pick?
Seriously. In the little that he did play, he looks very good. He looks like he's really going to be a special player. But I would definitely come back unless, like what you're saying, you're going to be a top 5 pick. Again, with you, I never begrudge a guy who, wants to leave because he's with all that cash staring at him. Who am I to tell a guy to, to come back to school, you got all that cash staring at you? I don't get cases like, Andrew Luck or, Jake Locker who actually, come back when they're potentially the number 1 draft pick. That I don't get, because you can always go back to school and graduate. It's not as if you can't. You're giving up your right to play sports, not your right to go back to class, which, I think folks kind of lose that somewhere along the line. But, sorry to get off track, but yeah, Kyrie, I think he should definitely come back. But I think what he does in the tournament may even propel him into the lottery if what we're hearing is true all year, that he's really a top 5 pick.
Kevin Burke, HoopDoctors.com, Sports 630 KIDO, KIDM.com. Terry Fortune. All right, besides Louisville, that one didn't work out for you. Tell me some of your sleepers. I know you got a couple. You got to have a couple. Everybody's got their sleepers.
I like St. John's. They're a 6th seed down there in the Southwest region. They finally resurrected that program. I never understood how a school located in New York City has a tough time recruiting players. They haven't been in the tournament since 2002. They get Steve Lavin, formerly from UCLA, went to ESPN for a couple years, and boom, magically they're relevant. They knocked off. They beat more top 25 teams this year than any school in the country did. St. John's. They beat Duke. They beat UConn. I mean, they really resurrected that program. They potentially have a second round matchup with BYU if they both meet. I'm interested in seeing that. I think they can go. I think they can get to possibly an Elite Eight. I think that region is wide open. I'm not sold on Pitt. So you got Pitt, BYU, Florida, and St. John's. They're all in that region. Wisconsin as well. I'm not 100% sold on that region. I think Pitt has the easiest road to the Final Four of any number 1 seed. So my sleeper is kind of a St. John's. Again, how you're in New York City and you can't retain talent is really beyond me, but they turned that around. I wouldn't want to play St. John's in games that matter. And another reason that they've really turned it around is because, it's not just Steve Lavin, because he can't grab any boards or score any points, but they have an older team. They have a junior and senior laden team. When you're in the college game, you can never underestimate experience, and they've really proven that so far this year, has St. John's.
Kevin Burke, HoopDoctors.com, at Sports 630 KIDO, KIDOM.com. Terry Fortune talking some NCAA tournament. So I'm with you about St. John's. I never understood how you can be smack dab in the middle of New York City. You could swing a dead animal and hit 50 ballers, and you stink. I never got that either, my friend. I'm with you. The thing about St. John's, bro, I was ready to pick them because I think my disgust for Pitt is well documented. Mm-hmm. I don't buy into Florida. I certainly, without Brandon Davies, I don't buy into BYU. Wisconsin, they'll win a game and then get beat like always. But I picked them to lose today, matter of fact. Kansas State, I don't buy into Kansas State. I can go through this whole region not buying into anybody. Yeah. I wanted to buy into St. John's. You know what stopped me? Matter of fact, I'd have put them to the Final Four if the kid Kennedy wouldn't have got hurt.
Yeah,
that's the only thing that stopped me. That's the only thing that stopped me.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And I think it would have been maybe. Yeah, they would have been probably, maybe a 4 seed had he been healthy as well. Absolutely. That region is very weak. I think the committee actually, they probably swapped Duke and Pitt because Duke usually has the easiest road to the Final Four as number 1 seed because they are Duke. So I'm not sure how Pitt ended up with that. But, yeah, that was an unfortunate injury. It changes the complexity of their team tremendously, but again, it's a junior and senior laden team, so hopefully they can, some of these guys, this is it. It's their last year of eligibility, so we'll see what they can put together, in their final year at St. John's.
It looks like to me that the NCAA tournament committee shut the doors and they went, okay, look, we like Jamie Dixon at Pitt, but he can't advance in this tournament for crap. Let's give him the easiest route. Can we put some of the NIT teams in with Pitt? Can we do that? Can we do that for Pitt? How about some Sunbelt squads? What can we do? It's almost like they said, here, Pittsburgh, go to the Final Four. Go.
Seriously. I'm surprised that wasn't the case with Duke. Duke, surprisingly, actually has a tough region. I'm, shocked. They have some actual names in there. They got, Connecticut, who's tipping off. They're playing actually right now against Bucknell down in D.C. I'm still very surprised Duke actually has some competition. I'm not sure, Coach K must have said something to maybe Jalen Rose, selected that region for him. I'm not sure what happened there. But really. It should be interesting.
The Uncle Tom bracket, the Uncle Tom region.
Apparently.
I tell you what, I wanted to pick Texas to beat Duke, dude, really bad. I really wanted to pick Texas. A month ago, everybody was talking about Texas going to the Final Four, and they've been, basically they've stunk the last 16 games, and I forget what their record is in the last 16 games. They've been bad, and I'm looking at them like, well, the other thing is, Mike Krzyzewski sitting on the Duke sideline. This is 100th NCAA tournament game. He's won multiple national titles, been to a billion Final Fours. Rick Barnes can't get past the Elite Eight, and for some reason, Rick Barnes seems to find ways to lose in the tournament.
Yeah, and I learned last year really taught me to, stop picking with my heart, or my hate, rather, when it comes to Duke, as opposed to actually, talent. I picked against him last year just because I'm tired of Duke and, Dick Vitale, ranting and raving about him. That's really why I picked against him. And I always said that, they're never going to win because I thought, I thought some of what Jalen said, I never went the Uncle Tom route. I always thought that Duke does recruit a certain type of player. They recruit college talent as opposed to NBA talent because they don't want guys that leave early. That was my take on the whole thing. Jalen's take was way different than mine. So I thought that the teams that win championships have NBA talent on their roster, not the teams that have college talent. Last year proved me wrong because Duke won it all with just college talent. I mean, John Shire left. He wasn't drafted. Who knows where Singler will end up. I think Nolan Smith will be a good pro. We spoke about Kyrie Irving. But, I mean, that's a factor. That is a machine. I mean, I would never, you can't just vote or pick against Duke just for the sake of them being Duke because they are just a great college team year in, year out. They're not going to have a guy who ever goes number one overall, forever. That's not going to happen. He's not going to come out of Duke. But they're just a great basketball team, and they're well coached, and they do everything well. You just love them or hate them, usually hate, but you can't deny the fact that they're usually a great team.
That's quite aggravating, isn't it?
It very much is that. Absolutely. Yeah.
Quite aggravating. Kevin Burke, HoopDoctors.com. All right, bud. We'll keep her maybe on Monday if you got time, and we'll talk about the weekend, the first 4-day tournament.
Sounds good.
All right, buddy. We'll see you. Have a good weekend, pal.
You too, Terry. Thanks a lot, man.
All right, Sports 630 KIDO, KIDO AM.com. Terry Forge.